I'm Jameson Burko. Commodities continues now. Western Canada's farmers have been waiting for answers on how to get their grain shipped out of the prairies ahead of planting season. The country's railroads have amassed a huge backlog of grain shipments, which Ottawa has ordered them to deal with. And yesterday, that is what CN Rail did. They said they'll fix those shortages by laying double tracks, among various other measures. We're still parsing through the details of what CP intends to do. They did just release some data from their last week of shipments about 20 minutes ago. We're joined now, though, by William Pallister. He's director of the Western Canadian Wheat Growers and a fifth-generation farmer. William, it's great to have you with us now. What's your take? Do you think that this CN plan, the double tracks, will that do the job?
Well, thanks for having me, Jameson. Well, to give a bit of a background, what's happening on the prairies, it's a very stressful situation. There's ships lined up at port, the rail lines aren't shipping our product, and farmers can't deliver Canadian food across the globe because the rail lines are backed up. And when we can't get paid for a product, we cannot get our bills paid for next year's crop. It's a very alarming situation. In regards to CN's plan, it's nothing really new that they've proposed. They have came out with some measures, and it's good that they have admitted that there is a problem, and there's a major problem in the prairies right now. But what we really need and what farmers need across Canada or Western Canada is to pass Bill C-49 with our proposed amendments.
Do you think that there's likelihood of that happening? I know it's in the Senate right now. C-49, for our viewers who may not know, is the Transportation Modernization Act. This would effectively force the railways to be able to ship more grain. Is that correct?
So let's do a bit of a story here. Picture Amazon. You order a T-shirt on Amazon. You know exactly when the T-shirt's arriving at your place. This is how archaic our grain transportation system is. We don't even know often when exactly the trains are coming. Right now in this situation, less than half of the trains are being delivered. There's a lot of grain backed up. This is a very stressful situation. We need Bill C-49 passed.
So what would C-49 do then? Would it give you that information? Would it give you the ability to know when trains are coming, whether they're delayed, why they're delayed? Would it just give you essentially more information from the railways?
Exactly, yeah. It's going to enhance transparency. That's only one part of it. It's an omnibus bill. We need greater transparency of the railways. One of the major amendments we need is interswitching, which essentially, since the two railways are duopoly in Western Canada, right. What interswitching will do is increase competition between the two railways. I'm a free market guy. I love free markets, but our railways are duopoly. And in Western Canada, we are landlocked. We have no access to ports. So we need those railways to compete to haul our product, because when they suffer, it's us that suffers.
So what would you give odds to Bill C-49 passing? And I guess if it doesn't pass, what does that mean for your community?
Well, if it doesn't pass, I don't know if this situation will improve, and it has ripples effects. Like, if we can't pay our bills, we can't pay for our inputs. That has ripple effects across Western Canada and the Western Canadian economy.
Of course, there is more than just grain that is failing to get to market. A number of the mining companies in this country that actually make up a huge proportion, as I'm sure you know, of what gets shipped on the railways, they're concerned as well. How do we sort of play this as a balancing act to ensure that everyone receives a little bit more than they're getting right now?
Well, that's a good question. One of the railways did lay off a large amount of workers, I believe was last year, and it's affected their ability to haul goods, period. They've admitted to the mistakes, which is awesome. I want to work with the railways, not be against them. And we want our grain, we want our food to be shipped across the world.
Can you give us a sense, just as a bit of a case study here, what kind of impact this backlog is having on, say, your own family farm, and whether that's starting to eat into your profits?
So as a director for the Western Canadian Wheat Growers, we have many members across the prairies that have had their deliveries. They deliver grain in January. A lot of these deliveries have been pushed back. And when they're pushed back, they're not being paid for their product. And when you don't get paid, sometimes liquidity or solvency is difficult. People have been taking out loans to cover their short-term obligations because of this.
Could we get to a point where, and if we do get to how quickly, I guess, to rephrase a bit, how quickly could we get to the point where we start to see farmers file for bankruptcy given no other options?
Well, it's a very real situation here. The sooner that we pass Bill C-49 with our proposed amendments, the better. This needs to be passed.
But how, I guess, just give us a sense of the urgency, right? What is the immediacy of the issue here? If it's not passed, you mentioned you can't see things necessarily getting better. How much worse could they get?
Oh, they could certainly get a lot worse. Like right now, the railways are averaging about 50% car shipments. We need that number higher, because if it doesn't go up, we can't get paid, and then that affects next year's crop too.
So how much higher do you think realistically it can get in the near term, of course, before the planting season kicks in?
Well, essentially, it has ripple effects across all of Western Canada, because we are a very rural economy in Western Canada. We are dependent on agriculture, and the world needs our food, and we want to deliver it to them.
All right, William, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks very much, Jameson.
That was William Pallister, director of the Western Canadian Wheat Growers. He joined us from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.